Guys, welcome back to the Action Rabbit introductory screencast series where we go over the Action Rabbit Jackrabbit class WordPress plugin. In this particular screencast, we're going to be taking a look at configuring the class wizard. So here I am on the main Action Rabbit dashboard, and we are going to navigate over to the class wizard. So in the left-hand vertical navigation beneath Jackrabbit class, most of the way down, we'll see a menu option called Class Wizard. Go ahead and click that. And then we're going to be brought onto our main wizard building screen here. And before we get started building a recommendation or class selection wizard, what I recommend to all schools is that they come up with a list of questions that they would ask. These would be evaluation questions that you would just ask to a parent or a guardian or a patron of some sort that you would ask them in person. That would help you figure out what would be a good class for themselves or a user right there on the spot. So once you come up with that list of questions, you can start adding your questions. So that's all we're going to do initially is just add questions. To do that, we click Add New Question. That's a blue button about halfway down here. All right, so we've added a new question, and a good first question that many schools might utilize is, how old is the student? Okay, and this helps you kind of segment the next question that you would ask after. And when you have typed in that question, just go ahead and click Save Question. Now there's a little status marker here. It says question is incomplete. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't mean you can't save it or anything like that. It just means that the question hasn't been fully configured yet. So let's click back. Now we have one question in there. Let's add another question. And for this particular example organization that we're using, it's a swim school. And the next question that we'll ask is, can the student do an assisted backflip? All right, save that question. Let's add another question. Can the student do a can the student do a independent backflip? Save that question. And then let's go back. Let's add another question. Can the student glide off the wall? Save this. Okay, so this should give us enough questions for our example. But now we need to add some answers to our question. So let's say we get back into each question by just clicking on the question itself. How old is the student? Let's add an answer. Let's say, I don't know, 0 to 1 year. And I said 0, but I wrote 1. 0 to 1 year. Okay. Let's add another answer. Let's say 1 to 2 years. Let's add another answer. Let's say for 10 years. Let's add another answer. Let's say 10 plus years. Okay, now all of these every time a question is asked in the class wizard, the user is going to select one answer. So selecting one answer can do a variety of things. We can either ask another question, or we can recommend a class. So if it's 0 to 1 year, let's ask another question. Or, excuse me, let's just recommend a class. Because that's going to be a class for babies. So we would say maybe Parent and Me. Let's just say Parent and Me. And Parent and Me is the general category. We don't need to get too specific with it. And how should we display the recommended class? We could just say Category 1 No Map, which would just say Parent and Me, which is what it says here. If we wanted to say something custom, we could say baby classes. Okay. And baby classes is what would be displayed to the user as the recommendation. And if they were to click that recommendation, we can do a couple different things. We could list all of our baby classes, or our Parent and Me classes. We could send them off to a new page on the website. And I suppose one of the reasons why some schools might choose to do this is if they have specific destination pages for each of their class types. So if there was a page on this school's website that, you know, had all the information about Parent and Me, and that's where you wanted to send the user, you could just type that URL or copy and paste that URL in here. Or you could simply just show baby classes as the recommended class, and the user wouldn't be able to do anything. So I don't know what your preferences are. I suppose, why don't we say list classes? All right, it's 1 to 2 years. Let's go ahead and let's ask another question. And we'll say, so if we type in here, basically we're searching through all the questions that we have here to make this easy on you. There's only a total of 4 questions, so this isn't really too complicated at this particular point in time. But the next logical question would be, can the student do an assisted backflip? Okay, so we're going to ask another question. 4 to 10 years, we might ask, can the student glide off the wall? And if it's 10 plus years, maybe, you know, we could ask another Google Ask us the same question, I guess. Just because we don't have that many questions in here right now. Okay, so a couple things about the notifications. We'll notice up here it says this question is complete. If we were to go back here and just toggle this off, we'll see that this question is incomplete. We'll also see that this answer is incomplete because we toggled it off. But we can simply just toggle that back on. And if you were to try to navigate back right now, it would tell you that there's a change that hasn't been saved. So it wouldn't let you do it without letting you know that you haven't saved it first. So let's save this question. All right, let's go back. So this is our question. We can see it's been amended with our answers. And can the student do an assisted backflip? So let's put some answers in here. Let's say no for an answer. And no, maybe this recommends a class and they can't do an assisted backflip, then we want to guide them to Parent and Me and, I don't know, Starfish class, 0 to 6 months. So that sounds good. And we'll say category 1 no map. Still says parent and me. Not a big deal. And we can say list classes. Let's add another answer. Let's say yes. The student can do an assisted backflow. Ask another question. Let's ask, can the student do an unassisted backflow? That answer looks good. And let's save this question. Okay, there it's saved. Let's go back. Can the student do an unassisted backflow? All right. So let's add an answer. Let's say yes. Or let's say no. And this should, if they say no, let's recommend a class. Let's recommend Learn to Swim Level 1 Jellyfish. We'll say Category 1 map. Category 1 no map. Category 2 no map. There we go. And this is just going to preview what this little text here is going to preview what the recommendation will say. And we'll say that, well, I don't know, let's redirect to a new page. And let's go to send them off to Google. How's that? You wouldn't actually do this clearly. Let's say yes. All right, so we are going to ask another question. We'll ask them if they can glide off the wall. All right, so this question looks good. Let's save the question. It's been saved. Let's go back. How old is the student? We got some answers. Can the student do an assisted backfloat? We got some answers. Can the student do an unassisted backfloat? We got some answers. Can the student glide off the wall? Should probably say off the wall. Let's add an answer. And let's say if they say no, we're going to recommend a class. Let's say LTS Perpetual Level 2 Tadpole. And let's say tadpoles are great. That's what the recommendation would say. You wouldn't write this in here. This is just an example. And let's go ahead and we'll list classes. Great. And for here, we will say yes. Selecting this answer should say ask another question. Glide off the wall. No, let's just finish it up here. Let's say recommend a class, and let's recommend this junior guard class here, just because this is an example. Why not? And we'll say category 1 map. There is a category 1 map. We set this up when we were doing our category 1s. We looked at it a couple different times. We're just going to use this map. Clicking the recommended class should, and let's say list classes. All right, save question. Let's go back. So this is our launch. We see that if we select 0 to 1 year, we're just going to recommend parent and me classes. We're going to list out those classes immediately when they click baby classes. And if they click 1 to 2 years, we are going to send them over to can the student do an assisted backfloat. If it's 4 to 10 years, we're going to send them over to can the student glide off the wall. Same with 10 years. Okay, cool. Just reviewing. Now, here we are on our test page. So this is the same example theme that comes with WordPress. This is 2019, 2020, one of those test themes that has been in some of the other screencasts. This is our class filter up here, and we have just included the class wizard underneath it. So they're both loading. So we have our class filter here. You can put all of these things on the same page. It doesn't really matter. But let's look at this example. So we know if we click 0 to 1 year, it's going to recommend parent and me classes. Let's click that. And we said recommendation, and we said baby classes. If we click baby classes, it shows us the time for these baby classes. So these are our baby classes. We have a seahorse baby class, a turtle baby class, a starfish baby class. Same thing here on these other days. Okay? So we have in our display preferences, which we set up in a prior screencast, we didn't save the Sholo enrollment or the instructor filter. Go back to display preferences. We can see that these are both toggled off. We can turn them on. It's been saved. Let's go back here, fire up the class recommendation. 0 to 1 year, baby class, we click that. These are both here. Okay? Got Kelly P, Erica Funk, Rose Gibbon. Let's just look at Kelly P's classes. There's Kelly P, there's Kelly P, Erica Funk, here's Erica Funk, Erica Funk, Rose Gibbon. Yes, she's at the same time as Kelly or Erica Funk. These are all low enrollment classes, so that's pretty cool. All right. But let's try to take a different path. So let's choose 1 to 2 years. Can the student do an assisted backflip? Let's say no. Okay. So we still want them to, we still recommend parent and me to them. Okay. So this is parent and me starfish that we've specified. So if we go back to our class wizard, we look at the answer no. We've recommended parent and me, but we've been a little bit more specific. We've recommended parent and me starfish, not just parent and me. That's why there's less classes listed on that particular page. So some schools might want to suggest more than one class, and that's fine, but they have to have the same unifying category. Okay? So let's see. One of these answers I know. So on, can the student do an unassisted backflip? This sends the user off to Google. Okay. Let's go back here. Let's fire this up again. So let's say 1 to 2 years. Can the student do an assisted backflip? Yes. Can the student do an unassisted backflip? No. We recommend level 1 jellyfish. And when we click level 1 jellyfish, we could send them over to a page on our site, but currently we're going to send them off to Google. Okay? You're not going to do that. It's just an example. And then, based on our preferences, let's say 4 to 10 years, can the student glide off the wall? Let's go back. Can the student glide off the wall? So if they say yes, we're going to recommend junior guard prep. Okay? So we'll say yes. And here's our junior guard prep. We remember mapping this out, and so instead of it just being a little button, we have the image of the class that we recommend. And based on what we've told it to do, it says view class times, because we said list classes for the action that the recommendation click should take. Click this, and we're brought over here, and we see our junior guard class table, which we specified in our display preferences. Scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and we said, hey, use table view for when we detect a category 1 equal to junior guard prep. That's what we detected. This is Junior Guard Prep, so we displayed it in this format as opposed to the class table format. All right. So let's go back to our class wizard, and let's go back to here, and we're saying Junior Guard Prep, what we want to do is list classes. Let's say redirect to a new page. We'll say this is, I don't know, CNN.com or something. Sure. And then let's save this question. Let's go back here. Let's fire this up again. Let's say 4 to 10 years. We'll say yes. And now when we hover over this recommendation, instead of saying list classes or view class, it says go to page. Okay? Just to indicate in this particular context what's going to happen when they go to or click on this recommendation. All right? And if we just say show the recommended class only, no action should be taken on click. Let's go ahead and fire this up again. Say 10 years. Can I glide off the wall? Yes. There's going to be nothing shown here. This doesn't actually do anything anymore. Okay? So this is the general functionality for the class wizard. Class wizard colors and preferences can be set a little bit later on. We're going to go over that when we go over building shortcodes, and our next screencast is going to be going over shortcodes and how to implement all the different tools on any of these WordPress websites. Thank you.